What you are listening to now is the Central Indiana Sports Report podcast number 353.2, the Pacers Report with Mike Rich. Although today we had the entire gang with us to talk about the Pacers schedule release. Mike and I were joined by our fever guy, John Robertson, our baseball guy, Codey Emerson, Will Retherford of the Will Retherford Show, and, of course, Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader was able to join us in the middle of the conversation. Please enjoy.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, Pacers fans, and welcome to the Pacers Report with Mike Rich. Before we get to Mike and our other guests, just want to go over the entire Pacers schedule with you in just a couple of minutes. The NBA season officially gets underway Tuesday, October 21st, but your Eastern Conference champion Indiana Pacers don't get underway until Thursday, October 23rd. On my father's birthday, one of the biggest Pacers fans I know. Talked to him earlier today. I think he's going to try to get to that one. And it'll be against the defending NBA champion Oklahoma City Thunder, 7:30 on October 23rd on ESPN. The first road game of the season is in Memphis on Saturday, October 25th, followed the next night by a trip to Minnesota. Then 3 nights later, they stay on the road in Dallas, October 29th. That's a Wednesday, so 3 of the first 4 games are on the road. The Pacers' first NBA Cup game is Friday, October 31st, Halloween night, against the Atlanta Hawks at home. The next NBA Cup game isn't until Friday, November 21st at Cleveland, who of course will be the favorites in the East, and the favorites in the East Group A in the NBA Cup. The final 2 pool play games of the NBA Cup will be Wednesday, November 26th at Toronto. And the final game is Friday, November 28th against the Wizards. The winner of each group will advance to the elimination stages of the NBA Cup with the championship played in Vegas. The semifinals are on December 13th, and the NBA Cup Championship will be held on the 16th. Of course, all of those games, except for the championship, also count as part of the regular season standings. And back to the non-NBA Cup games. Starting in November, the Pacers play the first 3 games at home, and the first 2 are games that our guests pointed out as games they are most looking forward to or games they're looking forward to going to. And on Saturday, November 1st, the Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry, and the gang will visit the Field House, 7 o'clock, Saturday, November 1st again. Monday, November 3rd is the return of Miles Turner, the first time he'll ever play in Indianapolis as a pro, not as a Pacer. Can't wait to beat them. Not a team in the league I dislike more than Milwaukee right now. Wednesday, November 5th, also at home, is the Brooklyn Nets. The Pacers make their first trip out west in early November. They go to Denver on the 8th and Golden State on the 9th, Utah on the 11th, and Phoenix on November 13th. They return home on Saturday, November 15th to face the Raptors before going to Detroit 2 nights later and coming home to face the Hornets 2 nights after that. After the NBA Cup game against the Cavaliers, the Pacers will play the Pistons again, this time at home, on Monday, November 24th. And the special night after Thanksgiving, which seems to happen every year in Indianapolis now, features the Washington Wizards at home. The following night, Saturday, November 29th, the Bulls visit. December begins with 2 more home games against 2 NBA championship contenders. Cleveland comes to Indy on Monday, December 1st. Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets visit on Wednesday, December 3rd, and if you haven't seen him live, you might want to do that. The Pacers go to Chicago on Friday, December 5th before returning home for 2 Monday, December 8th against the Kings. That is the last game before the NBA Cup tournament. And then the first game after 10 days Following the Kings game is the New York Knicks at home on December 18th. The final 3 games before Christmas, 2 of them are on the road. December 20th, that's a Saturday in New Orleans, and then their first game against the Celtics of the year on Monday, December 22nd, before a Tuesday, December 23rd home game once again against Miles Turner and the Milwaukee Bucks. Once again, the Pacers do not play on Christmas Day, a little bit of a surprise, but they do play the following day at home against the Boston Celtics Friday, December 26th, before going to Miami the next night to place the Heat on the 27th. December 29th, the Pacers will play Kevin Durant and the Houston Rockets for the first time in Houston before finishing 2025 at home against the Orlando Magic, another game that came up in our conversation a little later. 2026 begins with a home game against Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. January 4th, they're at Orlando, again another team that figures to be at least an Eastern Conference contender. And then they're home against the Eastern Conference favorite, the Cleveland Cavaliers, on January 6th. They go to Charlotte on January 8th. They host the Heat on January 10th. The Celtics on the 12th. The Raptors on the 14th. And the Pelicans on the 16th in a 4-game homestand in January. Then they go on their longest road trip of the year, 5 straight games. January 17th at Detroit, 19th at Philadelphia, the 21st at Boston, then the return trip to Oklahoma City Friday, January 23rd on Amazon Prime at 9:30, a rematch of the NBA Finals, the location where all of our hearts were broken. Monday, January 26th, the Pacers are in Atlanta. They host the Bulls on the 28th and the Hawks on the 31st, the Rockets on the 2nd, and the Jazz on the 3rd, another 5-game homestand, before going 6 straight games on the road at Milwaukee on Friday, February 6th, at Toronto on the 8th, at Madison Square Garden to take on the Knicks on the 10th, and in Brooklyn to face the Nets on 11th. Then after the All-Star break, they return to the road, 2 games in Washington on the 19th and 20th, back-to-back nights against the Wizards. Late February is all played at home. The 22nd, they will host Cooper Flagg and the Dallas Mavericks. The 24th will be against Paul George and the 76ers. The 26th against the Hornets. And then March 1st at home against the Memphis Grizzlies. The Pacers take their second West Coast road trip in early March. They go to the Clippers and Lakers on March 4th and 6th. Portland on the 8th. Sacramento on the 10th. Before coming home and facing the Suns on the 12th and the Knicks on the 13th. They're at Milwaukee on the 15th, at New York on the 17th, at home against the Blazers on March 18th. They go to San Antonio on Saturday, March 21st, to Orlando on the 23rd. They're at home against the Lakers and Clippers on March 25th and 27th. Then the Heat at home on March 29th. April starts with 3 straight road games, Chicago on the 1st, Charlotte on the 3rd, and Cleveland on the 5th. It seems like they play Cleveland 12 times. They're at home against Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves on NBC on Tuesday, April 7th. Speaking of which, the Pacers have 9 national television games if you include the national streaming services. Thursday, November 9th, they're in Brooklyn. The next night, they host the Philadelphia 76ers, and the entire league finishes the regular season on Sunday, April 12th. The Pacers will host the Pistons. Please stay tuned for Mike Rich, John Robertson, Will Retherford, Codey Emerson, and Michelle Garmon.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengel.
Welcome, Pacers fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report and the Pacers Report with Mike Rich, John Robertson, Will Rutherford, Codey Emerson, and maybe Michelle Garmon. She said she might be here, so I just went over the entire Pacers schedule game by game. Now we're here to talk with everybody about what is most interesting to you about the Pacers schedule and which games you're looking forward to attending, and John Robertson maybe attending on the road, and those are the stories I'm looking forward to. Let's start with you, Mike Rich.
Definitely looking forward to the first game against Oklahoma City. That'll be an exciting game. I think tickets are running just under $200 right now. Probably won't go to that game. I'm also looking forward to the first game against the Bucks at home in early November, and of course December 18th when they play the sucky ass Knicks. So I'm looking forward to that game too. I'd probably go to the one in December. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be. Codey said it before. It's a brutal start to the season. I look at the first 10 games. I don't know if they're gonna go 500. It's going to be a really tough run in the beginning. And we're really going to find out what this team's made of. So I'm excited to see, how they're going to pan out. I think that first 10 games is going to tell you how most of the season's going to go.
I'll say that you're right about having a rough start to the season, like a difficult start to the season, but I also think that it won't dictate the whole season. I think just like last season, they're going to have to figure out how they mesh and how they gel together. And so they may have a terrible start, but I think they'll pop out of it again, second half of the season again, maybe.
I hope so.
Barring injuries, that's, I think, going to be this tail.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that we're not going to have the level of depth that if we get injured, we're not going to be able to overcome it as quickly.
I don't think we can sustain a rough start like we had last year. I don't think we can rebound from that. I don't think we're good enough to rebound from a rough start.
Like I said before we got started, it's a brutal stretch. And like Mike said, I'm looking forward to the season opener. Game, what is this now? It'll be game 8. Is this what we're calling it? Against the Sun? Game 8. And a chance at, maybe some sense of redemption. Just some games.
Better than losing.
November 1st, anytime Steph Curry comes to Indianapolis, I mean, that's, shows are going to be, or the stands are going to be packed, tickets are going to be, I haven't even looked at tickets yet, but sure they're going for, pretty expensive. Then kind of like you said again, Mike, when Miles Turner comes back to Gainbridge, this will be another hot topic. I think he gets a video tribute, but he'll probably get cheered. There will probably be some booze in there.
I think he gets a video tribute, but I think he gets the DeWanna Bonner treatment. That's what I think happens.
That's fair.
He better not. If anybody playing for the Milwaukee Bucks does not get a video tribute,
it doesn't matter where you play.
Stop it. When he retires, he can come back the next season and get a
I don't know, man. He put 10 good years in for the team.
I
feel like
he's playing for the Bucks.
Yeah.
But in a span of 8 days, you play the Warriors twice.
Mm-hmm.
And also back to back with Denver and
but let's hold on. The Warriors of 2025, 2026 probably aren't the Warriors of the 2010s.
You're right, but I'm curious to kind of, I think like we all said, the start, how they do, what's the rotation look like? How does Carlisle manage that? And we're gonna find out pretty quickly. How good or bad this Tyrese Halliburton-less Pacers team is going to be.
Give Rick Carlisle credit, though, that if the rotations aren't going the way he wants in the first 10 games, he's going to figure something out to make it better. It may not work well, but I think he's proven that he can figure out how to do it and adjust on the fly after Will threatened to throw him in the canal. He knows what's on the line. He doesn't want a canal bath.
No, he doesn't. And we'll do it.
Yeah, I mean...
We did it with Pat McAfee. We'll do it with...
allegedly McAfee ended up in the canal. Maybe I'm the odd one out. I don't really think the beginning of the schedule matters. I like it backloaded easy because I think they're going to be rolling going into the playoffs. Have confidence. Rotations will be locked out. They just need to survive. They hover around 500, a couple games out of 500 the first 2 months, they're going to be just fine. I mean, it's a tough front-loaded schedule, but it's better to get it out of the way early, go into the playoffs, which this team is going to be in the playoffs with confidence and the ability to, I think, compete probably for a 6, 5 through 7 seed probably somewhere. So I think that it's reasonable to say that they'll be just fine.
To that point, Will, it's when we speak of the playoffs, that's because how god awful the Eastern Conference is going to be this year.
Well, there are no great teams in the East, but I think there are probably 8 pretty good ones.
Yeah, I think there's probably
it'll be top heavy, but I mean, you're going to have that. I think, like Will mentioned, the 6 through 10, 11, like all be fighting. They're all going to have a chance.
Yeah,
it's going to be. There's going to be some teams who maybe on the outside looking in the last few years are starting to look, oh crap, we have a chance and making
it's a little decimated after the Achilles Wars of 2025, right?
That's why I still think the Pacers can and will make the playoffs.
Well, that leads into, no one's mentioned the Orlando games. I think the 3 Orlando games are going to be pretty telling and important. We have expectations for the Magic to be better by far than they have been in the past. I just have a feeling they're going to be a top 3 in the East. And
they could definitely be the biggest contender to Cleveland, and I think right now Cleveland is an entire level above everybody else in the East, assuming they rebound from the ass-kicking they took from the Pacers. But talent-wise, there's no doubt that they should be the number 1 seed and the favorite going into the season. Orlando could definitely be number 2, and I think the Pacers still can be in that next group of teams that is a threat. They're not going to win anything, but
I hope you're right.
As much as I hate to say this, I think New York's going to be number 2. It
pains me to say that.
Yeah, I've got Cleveland, New York, then Orlando as my whatever they call it, trifecta for what I think is going to be the East. Looking at the schedule for travel, for those people that don't know, like my daughter and I want to watch the Pacers play at every away city at some point in our lives. It's a bucket list long-term thing, and we try to knock out 2 a year. My original plan for this year was to try and hit both LA games at within the same 3-day span. But they're playing on a Wednesday. Like they play Clippers March 4th, and then Lakers Friday, March 6th, which I think that would be
spring
awesome.
break for you.
Yeah, that's late in March, so I would have to use 3 personal days to do it. But you know what? I might just do it. Like, I do think it'd be, my big thing is I want to see the Clippers arena, the new Clippers arena, while it's still new. I don't want to see it 5-7 years down the road. I want to see it while it's still fresh. I think that for those people that haven't followed the Clippers at all, like their new arena is really, really cool. It's probably like top of the line technology. They've got like all sorts of really cool stuff there that they don't have anywhere else. And I want to see that. Like part of me wants to hold off to go to Lakers until LeBron's gone because I just don't care about LeBron. But I think it's Luka's team now anyway, so it's not really going to affect ticket prices when LeBron leaves. At least I don't think so.
Not much.
So that's on my list of games that I care about. If we don't do the LA double this year, we talked about going to Atlanta. There's one game in Atlanta early in the season because that's like a 7-hour drive, which wouldn't be too bad. And then flying into one of the Boston games. So we'll do like an Atlanta 1 week and then do Boston later in the season.
November 8th through the 13th, I think you should drive to Denver, San Francisco, Salt Lake City, and then Phoenix. And then, you'd take care of 4 of them.
If I didn't have to take off so many days to do that, like that's in my wheelhouse. I love long road trips. I mean, I don't know if you guys know, we drove to Vegas last year for the World Series of Poker. I took my daughter with me, and it was awesome. It was super fun. So like, I have no problem with a giant road trip, but missing 8? How many days would that be? 8th through 13th, so at least 5 days plus travel. So that's like a week. That's like 9-day trip.
That's right.
I can't really take a full week off of school.
By the way, the weekend after Thanksgiving, Friday and Saturday at home against the Bullets and the Bulls. So, and then that's 4 straight. December 1st through 3rd, it's a Monday and Wednesday. The 1st and 3rd is Cleveland and Denver at home. So nice little stretch there.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind going to that Denver game at home just to see Jokic play before he gives up basketball for horse racing.
Maybe by January. Who knows with that guy?
Yeah.
See him while you can, everybody. Because then your next chance is going to be live in Serbia.
Are we surprised that the Pacers got 9 national TV games?
No.
A little.
No.
I was a little shocked.
I
was
was too.
Shocked that they got that many.
Especially when I heard they weren't playing on Christmas like they never have in the history of the franchise. I
And
thought,
never will.
we're going to get screwed again with this. And I say screwed. I understand that if you're the NBA, you probably aren't banking on a Tyrese Halliburton-less Pacers bring in a lot of eyeballs. We think they will. We're a little biased, but you understand from their perspective why you wouldn't have a ton. I think 9 games is pretty respectful of the Pacers, considering they're going to be without Halliburton.
I think if you're the NBA, you have to give last year's finalists more games than you normally do, regardless of who it is.
Not if they're going to stink.
But yeah, but
we don't think they're going to, but most people do think they're going to.
But that's
fair.
They
thought they were going to stink this year too.
But like, as a league, first of all, they haven't wanted to give Halliburton the credit for being as good as he was anyway. So if you say we're not going to, well, right, but if you say you're not going to show the team because they're not going to be good because Halliburton's out, then you're giving credit to Halliburton for being like the engine, which he is. Like, I don't want to take it away from him. He's just getting one of those narrative things.
In the most respectful way I can say it, I don't really give a shit who plays an NBA on Christmas. I mean, the NFL owns Christmas now anyway, so it doesn't. Oh yeah,
you're completely disagree.
Completely disagree.
It is a big deal.
The NFL,
the
NFL will quadruple the NBA.
Yeah, but it's the biggest
viewership.
NBA ratings day that isn't in the playoffs.
No,
it is a huge deal.
Like, I understand that the NFL fan base is bigger than the NBA fan base, but like, it is a big deal. I watch all 5 NBA games on Christmas Day. I sit there and watch all of them. I absolutely do.
Starting as early as it is should be. That's just, to me, that's almost sacrilegious.
I think it's a big deal. And it's a great lineup, by the way. We mentioned Cleveland versus the Knicks. Those are going to be the 2 top teams in the East, if 2 of the top 3. The Spurs and Thunder, that's going to be a huge ratings game. The Rockets and Lakers. If you don't think people are watching the Lakers, you're out of your mind. It's a great lineup, and it's always great watching.
I'm watching every
Christmas
game.
Day.
NBA Christmas. Well, and that's one of those things that like is getting complicated as we go forward. Like,
Exactly.
Not everybody has Prime. I mean, I feel like most people have Prime at this point, but not everybody has it. I'm not going to get Peacock just for a basketball game.
Kind of have to live with watching what you can, right? It's a different landscape. But hey, when we were growing up, at least Mike Rich and I and Michelle, we got to watch 8 Pacers games a year. So I'm not going to complain.
I'm not complaining.
So
Jerry Baker gave us like 8 games a year. So
and you don't want to go there with me because I can't stand FanDuel, Bally, whatever streaming service I'm paying for.
Don't get me started.
Yeah,
the worst.
So if you guys could go to one home game, like you got free tickets to one game, and that's the only game you could go to all year, which game do you pick? Who do you want to see?
I think the first Milwaukee game, I want to boo Miles Turner, and I want to beat their asses.
That's
Pacers might.
That game or the Knicks on December 18th.
Where you going, Will? Which game you taking?
You know what? I've stayed a pretty consistent schedule with which game I go to in college. I always go to the Friday after Thanksgiving. I'm home. My friends are home. We go. They play Washington this year, which I mean, blah, but I just enjoy that. Like we go with friends. It's a good time. We're all 21 now, so that's the game that I'm probably going to actually go to. Probably the only one.
I also really like the New Year's Eve game, and this year it's against Orlando at 3:00. I think, Mike, every year you and I go, it seems to be Orlando, so maybe that's the one for us, the New Year's Eve game.
I would be up for that.
Like, one of my favorite parts of this whole thing is like trying to find the best seat value. So like, I don't care if we're in like balcony row 1 or if we're like courtside, if it's the best value for price. So I personally, I think the first Milwaukee game at home is the obvious answer. Like, everybody wants to be there to see the reaction to Miles. Like, I think that if I could only have one, that's the one I would go to. I don't particularly want to see New York at home. I don't know. I just, it make me nauseous. So I'll go with the first. I know it's the obvious answer, but I'll go with the first Miles back in Indy game.
By the way, Cody, we're waiting for yours, but I just want to point out that the Houston and
I didn't
Kevin
want to interrupt
Durant,
anybody.
Oh.
The Houston and Kevin Durant team that looks like it might be a championship contender is in town on February 2nd. Just wanted to point that out.
Golden State. That's who I would go.
That
Only
is,
because I'm not Steph Curry in first and before, and Trace Jackson, CJD's on the team. I would like to. I would like. I like
November
Trace.
1st. Susie's birthday.
Hey.
I'm just gonna agree with Michelle with the Warriors game on the first. I have not seen Steph Curry play. Getting to watch him in person. I kind of like to choose a weekend because I'm busy at work throughout the week and in the evenings. So I typically like to go during a weekend, and thankfully that's Saturday, November 1st. So if I had to pick one, that's probably go watch Steph Curry. Hopefully do Steph Curry things one last time before he's obviously in the twilight of his career.
I think he's got a few years left.
I think he does too, but I mean...
But you want to see him when he's still in, like, part of his prime.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to age well. But I wanted to say one other thing. Cody brought this up, weekend games. Susie and I, one of the very few we can do is Sunday afternoon, the 5 o'clock games. No Sunday home games until the end of February. And the first one is February 22nd, 5 o'clock against Dallas, and the first game for Cooper Flagg in Indianapolis as a pro.
I bet tickets are going to be spicy for that one. Not super spicy, but a little up there.
Get them for 106 right now.
Thank you so much to Mike, John, Michelle, Cody, and Will for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report. And thank you for listening. Please do us a huge favor and share this podcast with the Pacers fan in your life. Help us spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is here talking about Central Indiana sports every single day. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susan.